started, huh? All right, great. So Samar, I'll invite you on stage in just 1 minute. I wanted to cover before the session objectives. It's something that I really like to start with every time we do one of these sessions, right? And it's to make sure that we meet everybody's expectations. We probably have many different people joining here for many different purposes, and we want to make sure we cover all the questions you might have. And if we don't, we can always cover them after. So the first point is, let's not making another boring webinar you go to at 6:30 when you're tired. We can make it fun, right? So that's why we chose this platform. You have the chat on the right. At any point, just message in there. We have the other two Headstart co-founders in that chat. They'll be able to answer any questions. At the same time, if you want to ask any questions to Samar once she joins, you can actually post a question. I think it's to the bottom to the right where it says ask a question, and we'll actually be running some polls in there too, just to make sure we keep it interactive. If you actually want to come on stage to chat to us, have any specific question that you like to chat about or share an experience even, say it on the chat and I'll invite you to come up on stage. Okay? All right, so let's get started. There's 4 main objectives that we wanted to cover. The first one is very basic, and it's what is tech sales, right? It's a big buzzword and there's a lot of people trying to get into it, but many people still don't know what tech sales is. Even when I was thinking about the idea, when we were thinking about the idea for Headstart, we weren't 100% clear on what tech sales is. It's just such a fast moving field that it's easy to get lost. So we'll cover what is tech sales. We'll cover who should get into tech sales depending on the skills, and we'll cover what the career path looks like and if it's a fit for you. And then how do you break in? And we'll do all of this by chatting also with our rock star for the night, which is Samar. Samar, I'm gonna invite you over to come up right now and we'll go over the agenda together, okay? All right, let's give her a minute. I think I invited her. Accept to then connecting. Right, it's working. COVID time events are fun.
Okay, can you hear me?
There you go. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very low. Yeah, she's very quiet, Samar.
Okay.
Is there any way we can try and put your volume up?
Okay. Wait a second. I'm just
Your
taking off the
volume up.
headphones. Wait a second. Can you hear me now? Is it clearer?
It's still a little bit low, right? Let me go quickly through, right now you're muted, Samar, but let me go quickly through the agenda, right, while you try to fix it so that we don't waste too much time, and I'm sure we'll fix it eventually, so don't worry. All right, so in terms of agenda, what we're going to cover, everybody, is first we'll do a short introduction to tech sales. I'm going to introduce you to Headstart Academy. We'll be brief, 5-10 minutes to cover that, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into what actually is technology sales and why we think we should work in tech sales. And we'll have Samar chip in, from her experience already within this part of the webinar. And then we'll dive deeper into Samar's story. So meet her. She has a great story, right? She comes from a psychology background. After graduating, she got into sales, completely changed her mindset, and now she's happily working as an SDR in Babbel. So, can we hear you now, Samar? You there?
Yeah, I hope so. Can you? Is it
Yeah,
clear?
yeah, that's loud and clear. That's much better.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Good.
All right, let's get started then. All right, so first, a little introduction into Headstart Academy, and we want to start it off with a little icebreaker, right, that everybody can participate. There's a poll at the bottom, and I want you to reply, how many of these apps do you use on a daily basis? You have them all in there, so, all right. Yeah, WhatsApp's a big one, 4 votes for WhatsApp, 5 votes. Somebody's actually unvoting WhatsApp. They're thinking about it again. Instagram, Spotify, Gmail, Slack, big one for sure. Yeah, so the majority of these, right? Point we want to make with this is, and we'll be done with the poll. We can share the results after. The point we want to make with this one is there's a really famous phrase by this guy from Andreessen Horowitz, a famous VC, that said about 10 years ago, software is eating the world. And we want to illustrate this by showing you what the biggest companies were. This is almost 15 years ago now, right, in the world, and what they are right now. So 15 years ago, the biggest companies in the world were everything from the energy sector, banking, industry sector, and you only had Microsoft out there from the technology industry. Right now, I actually think the top 10 companies are all software companies. And we've seen a huge boom of these companies wanting technical talent, right? Developers, etc., but also customer-facing talent, so sales talent. And this is the purpose and why we actually started Headstart Academy. We saw, after talking to a lot of companies and doing a lot of research, there is a huge demand for technical sales talent out there in the market. So this 16,000 is actually the number of open job opportunities for sales development representatives right now in Germany. And there's only 4,500 people that are suitable to apply for those jobs right now on LinkedIn, right? And in the future, it's estimated that there will be up to 9.2 million new job openings in sales in Europe by 2030. So why aren't there more people in sales, right? That's what got us thinking. And we also did another study. This is a study by a psychologist from Princeton that said 20% of the overall working population is actually very well suited due to their skills to work in sales. Why don't they consider it? There's three main blockers why people don't actually consider a career in sales. The first one is it has a very negative image. We'll see it later, right? But when you think of sales, usually you think of the Wolf of Wall Street, you think of Glengarry Ross. I don't know if you've seen Matilda recently, but I don't know if you remember the dad of Matilda, the one that sold cars and changed the number of kilometers on the car. That's the image we have of sales, right? And that's something that we wanted to change because it's definitely nothing like that right now. And also there's no clear education or career path. People have absolutely no idea how to get started into sales. And the final one is, oftentimes, although this is changing and we're definitely trying to change this ourselves, you can only access these kinds of jobs if you have a graduate degree. And that's why we started Headstart Academy. The idea here is that we select people not on their previous experience, not on their background, not whether they have a degree, but we select them purely based on skills. We actually saw, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into it, the skills that are most necessary to become a good salesperson, right? Lead a good career as a salesperson. And that's exactly what we screen for through a personal interview and an assessment. And then what we offer is a 6-week bootcamp, intensive training, right? So, and it's designed purely for employability. The course is designed exclusively to learn as fast as you can and get you into the job so that you can continue learning for the rest of your life within that career. So the curriculum, what we've done to actually, and what we keep doing to perfect that curriculum, is we chat to companies and we see exactly what they demand, the types of skills they demand for the roles that they're looking for. And that's exactly what we teach. When we see that something changes within the industry, we change that back. The other thing that's a little bit different to other programs and definitely to university is you actually do real world sales. So when you join the program, you're actually going to be selling for a real company. And the idea here is to actually a little mini internship so that when you join the company that we're going to connect you to, you've actually sold, you've actually had real experience on the job so that you're able to hit the ground running and add value from day one. The program is 100% online and you can take it at your own pace because it's through an individual mentor, right? So throughout the week, you have some things that you have to complete. You can chat to your peers to complete them. You have a facilitator that helps you go throughout that program. And then you have a mentor, which is an industry expert that gives you feedback on all the assignments that you've done. And then once you have graduated, and if you graduate, we connect you to our network of hiring partners on the one hand, and we also teach you how to source opportunities on your own. So that's in a nutshell, right? I don't want to go too long into Headstart. I actually want to get started on why tech sales as fast as possible, but I just wanted to share a little bit of what we do before we go deep into it. And the promise that we make to all our students is we're so sure the program works and we want to incentivize ourselves to make it work, that the courses are risk-free. And this means if you don't land a qualified job within 6 months, you pay nothing. So we either refund you or you pay when you get a job. And this, just to finish it off, right, we always like to explain the why we're doing this and why the three of us, Dominic, Mike, and myself, started this company. And it's, we believe everybody has and deserves a space in the new digital economy, but the education sector and the opportunities out there aren't set up to make that happen, right? So for everybody to have the space they deserve in the digital economy, we need to give everyone access to education and those opportunities. And we want to build the education model of the future that allows us to do that. So a model that's accessible for everybody and that's designed for employability. All right, so enough about Headstart. You're probably wondering what even is tech sales, right? So I'll bring Samar into this one from now on to get started. So I'll let you say your definition, right? Because you're working in there, but I'll just give a very brief one. When we talk about tech sales, it's a very general term that's changing constantly. In essence, it means selling technology, right? So it's the art of selling products, platforms, services associated with technology. Every company is now a technology company, so it's difficult to draw a line. But the jobs that we are seeing most demand for and the ones that we prepare people for are mostly within the software industry, within technology, and within the B2B space. For anybody that doesn't know what the B2B space is, it's business to business, and B2C is business to consumer. I don't know, Samar, if you would add anything, right, to this description.
Yeah, you said it all. So it's basically service. Yeah, exactly. Software as a service. So you said it all exactly.
Wonderful. And we were also talking, right, many of these companies do both B2B and B2C. For example, Babbel sells to companies, also sells to consumers.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of crossover between all of them. So now that we have a general understanding of what tech sales is, what on earth does a tech sales professional actually do? So I'm going to try and explain this one in very high level terms very briefly, right? So when you have somebody who is looking to make a purchase, right, they go through what we call a buyer's journey. And it's at the start of their journey, they become aware that they have a problem or a need that they want to solve. Then they go into the interest stage. They're interested in buying a product. Maybe they're evaluating different alternatives that they want to go for, etc. They go a little bit deeper and they reach a decision stage. They're already ready to make a decision. They know that they have that problem. And then there's action, which is that purchasing action, right? So marketing and sales play a very big role in nurturing that person throughout that whole buying process. And there's a bunch of different activities that sales does at each of those stages to nurture that lead, all the way from a lead that doesn't even know they have an issue, right? So even in pre-awareness stage, all the way to closing that lead at the end. So this will be the sales funnel that we're showing here. And in terms of sales activities, so we'll get deeper into what Samar is doing into her day-to-day, right, in her role. But in essence, what you do is at the top, you need to reach out to these people and let them know that you exist and let them know that there's a problem worth solving and that your solution is good, right? So when your prospects are in awareness stage, you just want to be doing cold calling, so calling them up, cold emailing, and those are more the old school ways, but still very, very relevant of trying to reach those potential customers. Also nowadays, we do a lot of social selling, which means having a strong LinkedIn profile, for example, figuring out which social channels your potential customers lie and trying to engage with them. Once you have engaged with them, the idea is that you need to qualify them, right? So you jump on a call with them usually, and you try to qualify them to see if they have the budget, the authority, if they actually have a need that's worth solving, and when they're looking to make that purchase. So during a sales activity, and anybody that's involved in sales is going to be spending a lot of time going into meetings with clients, chatting to them, and going a little bit deeper into their needs and into their problem to see if it's a problem worth solving or not. That would be discovery call. Now, once you have qualified those clients and you go into the decision stage, it's all about actually showing your product, right? So up until here, it's always about the person and their problem, right? You're not trying to sell anything at the start. You're just trying to figure out if there's a problem worth solving. And once you get to the decision stage, that's where you jump in, you do the demo, right? You show your product, you try to negotiate a deal, you follow up on that deal, and you learn how to handle objections and close. So in a big nutshell, right, that would be more or less the sales process, the sales funnel. And that's where the sales professionals come in and the type of jobs that we prepare people for. Samar, anything to add? What is it you do most of these on a day-to-day basis? And yeah.
Yes, so on a day-to-day basis as an SDR, I would say from awareness to interest. So the first and second step, as we are responsible as an SDR at Babbel, we have to reach out to the prospects and see what is the problem, if there is a problem. So this takes a lot of listening skills, I would say. Then we will engage to have a discovery call. This is basically the most important step, just to find out why they reach out to us. Is this is an inbound, and if it's an outbound, we will try our best to get those 10 to 15 minutes of discovery call, just to make them interested in case they did not know that they are interested. And then we will just forward the next steps, which will be the product demo, the negotiation, and the follow-ups and the closing will be then forwarded to account executive or sales managers. Exactly. But this depends also from a company to another, because in some companies you will do the whole funnel from the cold calling, from the first touch to the closing.
Exactly. So that takes us right, a good segue into our next point, right, which is what do different roles within sales do along the sales funnel? And usually, right, and I want to be very careful with being very totalitarian with this one, because it completely changes depending on the industry, the size of the company, the actual team, but in general terms, for a typical software company, this would be a typical roles and responsibilities configuration that you would have, right? So marketing is usually in charge of generating those leads, depending on how much of an inbound strategy you have or an outbound strategy. An outbound strategy, which means contacting the potential customers yourself, their sales would have a bigger role. In an inbound strategy, marketing would have a bigger role so that they can feed those leads directly to sales for them to close. And then once we get into the sales funnel, you typically have a sales development representative or a business development representative taking care of those leads and in charge of qualifying them. So chatting to them, digging deeper into their needs, making sure that they are qualified, and then pass them onto an account manager usually. And the account manager is the one that is in charge of closing the deals, the negotiations, sending the proposal. So the lower end of the funnel, the decision and the action end of the funnel. Once they become a customer, they would be in charge of the customer success manager, and the customer success manager is in charge of making sure they're happy, but also in charge of upselling and cross-selling, right? So trying to increase the number of products that person consumes. And then you also have a customer service rep, which is usually in charge of happiness, NPS, making sure that there's a retention and that the customer is happy and stays with it. Samar, can you walk us through a little bit the configuration that you all have at Babbel? Does it look anything like this one? Or maybe from your previous companies too, right?
I would say it's very similar. Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, currently for Babbel, it's very similar. So, marketing are responsible for nurturing the leads, basically the inbound leads. Also, our outbound leads are not that cold, though there is some marketing touch in there. And we in SDR are responsible for outbound and inbound. So we are an outbound team. Once we had our discovery call, and once we qualified that lead as okay, there is a fit between their needs and what we're offering, then we will transfer this to a sales manager. and the sales manager will do everything up to closing. So the account would be by the account management team only after the close, and they will just take care of the whole the Babbel relation then. And then I
Amazing.
believe we do have customer service too, and that will be in case something did not work well or even in case there is any issue. Yeah.
Great. All right, so let's continue. And I think you can definitely chip in for this one, right? Because we've spoken to many companies, and what we did was chat to them and try to see what exactly they look for in a sales rep, and we got very varied responses. And the reason for that is there's no such thing as the specific skills you need to be the perfect salesperson. It varies a lot depending on the company, the culture of the company, the type of product that you're going to be selling. There's actually two very different types of sales. There's what we call consultative sales, which are typically a very long sales cycle and take a lot of touch points with the client, etc. And they're usually more costly, right, to implement. And then we have transactional sales, which are the typical ones where you're trying to close the deal as fast as possible. They're much smaller price ranges, etc. So of course the skills needed for these roles vary a lot, but we identified 5 main ones, which are the ones you see there in pink. The one of my favorite ones for sure is coachability, and that is the ability to learn, right, and receive feedback. It's applicable to everything in life, not only in sales, but the ability to be humble, receive feedback, and not take it in a personal way, but just apply it and learn from the experience. And it ties in really well with curiosity. So people that are eager to learn, eager to explore. When you also ties in very well with empathy, right? When you're selling to a client, instead of just thinking, okay, I just want to sell, actually put yourselves into their shoes and think, okay, what is their pain point? What are they trying to solve, right? And be curious as to how can I actually provide value to this person. And I know one of your personal favorites, right, Samar, we spoke about it, was consistency.
Absolutely. It's actually one of my favorite because this is so important, and this was one of the points I personally was struggling with. So I had no consistency. I struggled with consistency while in sales or in any other job in life in general, you cannot go further without consistency. Even when it comes to coachability, to accept feedback, you should consistently be accepting feedback and not only just when you're in the mood for that.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. I see we have some questions in there already. We'll get to them. There's one asking you, why did you get into sales, Samar? We're gonna chat. We're gonna hear the whole life story from Samar, so don't worry. I'll cover those questions in 1 minute. All right. So why work in tech sales? What people think of sales. We've seen this one everywhere, right? Wolf of Wall Street. This is the one I was mentioning about Matilda's dad. It really has absolutely nothing to do with this when we talk about tech sales. And there's 4 main points I want to bring up, and Samar, please feel free to jump in, right? Because I think you've been through this mindset change yourself, and that's why you decided to switch into career in sales, and you're happily there. The first one is it's actually fulfilling work. As you saw in when we explained what you're actually doing, it's not like you're calling on people and trying to sell them stuff. You're actually calling on people, chatting to them, understanding their problems, and actually trying to help them solve a problem that's going to make their life better. That's the kind of sales that we try to get people into, and that are usually predominant in tech sales, right? Samar, anything here? I don't know, a little bit about your mindset change on that one, and what you like most and least, maybe, about what you're
Yeah,
doing.
I would say what I love most is it's absolutely not boring. You will never have a quiet day, but this is very satisfying. This is something that you're gonna love. And the most important thing, I think, is the growth. The growth is just, I mean, I'm just not the same person after university or a year ago. Everything changed, even my mindset changed. Even I think I just so one of the question was about German, I think, or something like that. Even my German and my English got better since I started sales. So yeah, I think it's absolutely fulfilling. I would not do any other job, to be honest.
That's great. Right, and then the second one is about pay, and you can actually probably bring more to the table than I can here, at least for Berlin, right? Because you've worked as a recruiter there. But from what we have seen scouting the market and chatting to people and seeing many different sources, the idea is that an entry level job, typically these are for Berlin, gets around 40,000 euros. And then depending on how you progress, usually into an account executive role, that's the most common transition from an SDR role into an account executive role, depending on the years of experience. And also, Samar told me, depending on how well you negotiate, right, you can get between 60 and almost up to 80,000 euros and beyond within 5 years experience. Samar, does this resonate
Absolutely.
with
I
you?
think, yeah, that negotiation part. Absolutely. So that negotiation part is actually you're just gonna leverage all the potential, all the skills that you have in the interview. Don't just accept what they're offering, I would say, but just try to make the difference in comparison to other candidates and just leverage all the potential that you have. Just make them feel like, okay, if they're not gonna hire you, they're gonna be something.
Nice. All right, and the third one, I mean, we already covered it, but it's not only that there's huge demand, but it's a profession. If you get into it, you won't have an issue in the upcoming future, right? There's plenty of opportunities. It's definitely a growing field. There's a lot of room to continue that career path, and there's many different actually steps you can take. Some people go the account executive route and then go on to be sales managers. Some people actually start for 1 or 2 years within a sales role and sell and learn how to sell and the necessary skills, and then they go on to become entrepreneurs, right? We always say that sales is a life skill, and you can apply it in your personal life, and you can also apply it definitely in an entrepreneurial life. And the final point, and now we'll get directly to Samar as we have half an hour left, is it's open for everyone. And this is precisely why we started Headstart Academy, because we really do believe that anybody with the right mindset can learn sales and become good at sales and actually enjoy a fulfilling career in sales. Cool. All right, Samar, I think it's your turn. Let me close the video so that we can chat and it can be a little bit better and we can get started. All right, so there were some questions in there. We'll get right to it. But before we begin, right, I just want you to tell us a little bit about your story. We actually have a value within Headstart, which is similar to loving people and their stories, you know, crafting your own story. And we always like to hear the stories behind people and how did you end up as an SDR? What's your background? Why did you decide to do sales?
Absolutely. So yeah, sales is storytelling after all, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, my name is Samar. Let's start from the beginning. I'm from Tunisia. I've been now from Germany for over 7 years, and currently I'm a sales development representative on the DACH market at Babbel. Why I started sales? Let's say it's a very funny story actually. So it was never my goal from the beginning, to be honest. I never imagined that this was going to be my path, but I would not say I was lucky. I would more say I manifested this in my life. I always wanted that one day I will have my own thing, and I was not really aware that to do this I will actually need sales skills. And so basically what I did, I was at university, and then I was supposed to have my master's. So I got my bachelor's degree, and I was supposed to go for my master's. But then I did not want to stay in a little city. I did not want to have 2 more years in the library just studying, just having tests. And I just want to go to a bigger city and just really start real life with challenges. So I started looking online. I wanted to go for Berlin, of course. And I just started looking online, and I wanted to apply for Mulberries actually. And so obviously I had also an account as their recruiting platform, and most of my matches, I would say to 90%, were for sales positions. because given my CV back then, freshly graduated, I had a lot of languages. So this, not a lot, 4 languages. So this helped to leverage my CV a little bit. But to be honest, the only thing that I had to offer back then was my potential. No skills, because I came from a psychology background, and I wasn't even native in German back then, still actually. But this is also a very important point. And then so the first idea, I wanted to work for Mulberry, just apply for other companies, and ended up I got the job. And so what I saw in the interviews, etc., I was like, okay, this is exactly what I want to do. I'm really gonna go for a sales position, and it's basically the best idea of my life. That was the best decisions that I made, especially because that first job was not just any job where you just learn how to do desk, or you're just a junior person, but it was really kind of a boot camp, let's say crash course for sales, where I really gained the right mindset, where I really started, okay, I think I love this, I love sales. Yeah.
And what was your perception, because you went through a transition, right? What was your perception maybe before you joined, right? Like preconceived ideas you might have had from sales, and after now having worked?
Okay, so the idea to start with, I thought it was easier, to be honest. I mean, it's doable, it's definitely doable, but at the beginning, when you're very junior, it's not that easy, but it's very enjoyable. You just have to have the right start, the right person to take care of your start, you being junior. And also I had that idea that it's cheesy, it's salesy, you're just gonna sell something, because back then I did not have the bigger picture of actually that you're not actually just selling a product, it's much more than that. So what changed is that actually I'm not just selling something, it's more than that. It's negotiation, it's psychology, it's emotional intelligence, empathy, all the things that we already mentioned actually. So yeah, the best thing is once you start and you gain the mindset, and then start having the bigger picture of what you're doing, that you're not just selling something, then you just had everything.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Could you, because we covered, right, from a theoretical perspective what you do in a sales role, but could you let us know, like, what you actually, what does a typical day look for Samar?
Okay, I will describe a day at Babbel, because the other company, it's been a long time, I would say. So at Babbel, my main role, or let's say my KPIs, so the things that I absolutely have to show, are that I have those discovery calls and convert them to demo calls. So to do that, first of all, you will have to get in touch with the prospect, who is not a lead, or a prospect who is not a customer yet. So it's a potential customer. If it's an inbound, it's, I would say, kind of easier, because you will just have to reach out to them either per email or per call, just to schedule the discovery call. But there's already interest, so they're a hot lead, I would say. If it's a cold one, then you're gonna have the courage to pick up the phone and call someone who doesn't know who you are, from whom you're calling, and what do you want at all, and just keep on calling again and again until it works, and then convert that to a discovery call. And during the discovery call, so this is what I do most during my day. I have discovery calls, which means I just have to coordinate. I just have to find out if what they need fits to what we are offering. If this is the case, of course, I will ask a lot of questions. I learned that I have to ask more than talk also in discovery calls. So I will, by the end of the call, qualify it if indeed we are able to offer what they need, or just disqualify it and not give it to salesperson if, for example, their need does not apply to what we have. And in case it's qualified, then I just reach my KPI. I just converted a discovery call to demo call. This is for the DACH market or DACH market, but I also do the whole funnel for the French market. So for the French market, I would get in touch with the prospect from the beginning, but then the demo that I converted, I will give it to myself. So I will be the owner of the opportunity. And then I will do the demo call, which is basically sharing your screen, showing them the product, showing them the most important features, etc. And then the most important thing is to set up a next step, basically. So we just set a next step to see, okay, if you like it or not, what do you think about it, and what would be the next step? Should we just have a call? Do I have already your go, which is best case scenario, I would say. And then that's it. So then we are already in the negotiation and follow up phase until it comes to closing in the best case.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the
you don't
favorite
feel the
part?
8 hours per day, actually. The closing, of course.
And your least favorite part?
My least favorite part is the cold calling, but I'm talking about the real frozen calling, the one who do not know from whom you're calling, what's your name, doesn't understand anything, or just doesn't pick up anymore after you call again and again. So that's the worst. Cold calling, to do that, you really have to love sales to do that. I did it. The most difficult cold calling I did was in my previous company. It was an e-health company, so I basically had to call doctors. And of course, if you call a doctor, you will never reach him. You just reach the assistant in the middle of nowhere somewhere in Germany who doesn't even know who you are or who your company is. That was the hardest cold call ever. Yeah.
And what because I feel cold calling is definitely a taboo, right? But I've done quite a lot of cold calling in my career, and I've actually, so of course it's unpleasant, but you learn so much from that experience, right?
A
At least
lot.
for me. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
a lot. For example, you learn that you can take rejection and don't die. I learned to take rejection. I also learned a lot of confidence. So this is one of the most important things that sales taught me, is confidence, because I would I would be honest with you, a year ago, I'm the kind of person that if I get in a shop, I cannot talk to a sales assistant. I cannot call the doctors at the doctors to get an appointment. I cannot even call any customer service to talk on the phone. So imagine how that changed. So I'm the kind of person that even to do any private call, I would go to another room. I cannot even talk in front of people. And that was also a problem in my first job, where my biggest struggle was to talk in front of other people. And this is all gone. This is past. Now I can talk in any language in front of anyone, get any rejection, and don't even feel bad about it.
Nice. So would you say, I was going to ask you, right, what has sales taught you for your personal life too? I imagine this is the most important thing, right?
This is very important, like, because I feel it in my day-to-day life, that so confidence, and then what I mentioned earlier, the bigger picture. Once you learn to see the bigger picture, you will understand how important the whole structure is, because it's not about selling a product first of all. You can see how many people are behind that product. So how many people worked on it? There's engineering, there's marketing, there's the founders, the idea, the purpose of the company, and they all trust you. They put that product between your hands and trust you to sell that, to present that to the people. So this is a work of years and years, and now you have to do this in 30 or 15 minutes. So it's just a huge to see how amazing that is. I just love it. And yeah, so the other thing that I learned also from sales is that actually you can apply sales in everything in life. We already talked about the interviews and how to negotiate and leverage your potential for the job interviews. And you can apply this in anything else. For example, if I'm looking for a job, if I'm looking for companies that have job opening, I would just deal with this just like I deal with lead sourcing. So basically, who sounds good, who is good, who could be a fit for me. And then for the interviews, I would just act like as if I had a sales call. So I just prepare. I would look at LinkedIn, their website, everything they do. And then in case I do not have a reply or a feedback in the time frame that I wished for, I would just follow up with them. And I would just name it follow up, even, especially if you're applying for sales, you just have to show that you have that sales mindset, So,
Absolutely.
yeah. And basically, we just, yeah, please.
Yeah, sorry, I think there's a little bit of a lag. I was going to say
No,
absolutely. It's also
yeah, I think so.
taught me a lot. So let's get to I think we have quite a few questions in there, right? But before we get into that, one final question for you. What's next? I know it's a tricky question, maybe, to answer, but do you have any idea of what's next for you?
I would say what's next is first and foremost to not stop. I'm looking for consistent growth. I want to grow as much as possible. I hope I would never arrive to a point where I say, oh, okay, now it's enough. I'm good enough. I had the amount of growth I was looking for. So first of all, do not stop. And second, I want to have my own thing one day, which will not be in the tech scene, actually. So I hope that that day I will not have to hire a salesperson if I have the sales skills needed for that. If the team has to get bigger, then obviously I would do that. But to start my own thing, I hope that by then I will have the skills needed to do this on my own.
Absolutely. That's great. I'm sure you will, honestly. All right, so let's get to we have quite a few questions over here. First one is, why did you get into sales? I think we already covered that one pretty well. There's another one by Dolphy. The first one is, how important is German for tech sales in most of the sectors, not just e-learning platform like Babbel, speaking from a foreigner's perspective?
Yeah. Okay, so I would say it's very important, but it depends on the industry. It depends on the company too. For example, if you are in a company that have only that is working mainly and only on the DACH market, then obviously you will have to have good German skills, because you're going to talk on the phone, you're going to write emails. It's not always obvious to have templates. You're going to write this on your own. Of course, there will always be someone who's going to take care of that, who's going to correct you, but you need at least a good level. But at the same time, such companies as Babbel, for example, we have a DACH team and a raw team. So it's one where you need to talk German, and the other one is basically you have to have amazing English skills, which is the rest of the word team. So yes, it's important. Your opportunities will be higher if you have German, but it's also possible to work in English in Berlin.
Amazing. Cool. And the second part of the question is, what challenges do you face as a woman in sales tech?
Oh, absolutely none. As a woman, I mean, until now, I was in 3 companies in 3 different industries, and I honestly never felt that I was a woman. I mean, now, for example, at Babbel, I'm the only girl in the SDR, or the only woman in the SDR team, and I just don't even think about it. It's not even to mention, to be honest.
That's great. Great to hear. All right, we have another one from Shaza. Did you sign up to any boot camps related to sales? If you did, and how did that benefit you?
I did not, but to be honest, the start that I had is not something that I can guarantee you in any other company. So the start that I had was really a crash course. I was really taken care of, and I honestly, if you look at all the startups, all the companies now in Berlin, there is no other company that will offer you what I had at Mulberry's when I started. So I would really advise to have at the beginning such crash courses or such boot camps, because when you're going to start, you have no experience at all. And then you probably gonna be junior, and people are gonna wait for you to deliver something. And for example, let's take something very, very simple, which is writing a template. We did not have that at school. We did not have that at university. And basic things as writing a template was for me, for example, a big struggle when I started, because I never learned this anywhere, but I did not have any template. For example, like other companies who just give you a template and tell you, okay, just use this one. We've been using this for so long, just use it again. But I was in a situation where I was thought, okay, now you have to write a good one. You're going to Google this, you're going to do this and that, and then you really have to do that. And it took me over 2 and 3 days to have a template, which ended up not even being good. So I would definitely advise to have such boot camps. Yeah.
And there's also another reason why you didn't join a sales bootcamp, and it's because there are none. We're actually the one of the first ones over here in Europe. Yeah,
if I would go back in time, I would join Head Academy. Yeah, Headstart Academy.
There's some boot camps already in the US, but in Europe right now, there's nobody that's offering a specific track into tech sales. All right. Any other questions, Dolphy, Shaza? Do you want to come up and then chat to Samar, or whatever you want? No? Okay. We'll leave it at that then. If you have any other questions, feel free to shoot. There is one other more question. What role did your colleagues, or do your colleagues currently play in your role, right? How do you interact with them, and do they make you better?
Well, this at Babbel and the previous job I started in the first wave in April 2020, so it was remote, and this one also is remote. So I basically I could meet a few of my teammates, but still I absolutely do not feel that the whole thing was remote. So there is always someone to help. My current line manager is just amazing. So we have Slack. I'm constantly writing as if I was writing to one of my friends. If I have a struggle, if I have anything that is disturbing me, and there is always someone to help. So it doesn't matter if it's a very technical question, if it's a closing question, negotiation question, there will always be someone there. So there will always be a contact person. Doesn't matter if it's from my team, from the other team. And the good thing that I like at Babbel too is that we are SDR team and sales team, and sometimes I just forget that we're not directly in the same team. So you always have support, even from people with very amazing experience.
Sounds like a great place to work in, to be honest.
Yes, I'm very satisfied, and I'm a very picky person. So if I don't like somewhere, I just leave. But Babbel is really good to be.
That's great. That's great. I have a question on my side. Would you give any recommendations to anybody who's maybe thinking about pursuing a career in sales or getting started?
Yes, from my own experience, of course. I'm no coach. I'm no expert.
Absolutely.
My recommendation would be just go for it. If you are fresh from university, or if you just want to have a career change and you do not know what to do with your career, just go for sales. Because not because it's easy, on the contrary, but just because once you did sales, you can after that do whatever you want. I'm not talking about like you can be a doctor or lawyer, but you can take any other position, you can take any other challenge, any other rejection in your life, and yeah, just go for sales if you do not know what to do, to be honest. For example, I have a story. You love stories. So for example, Renita Kasper is our head of TA in Babbel, and she's an amazing woman. She's just wow, and she's gold in the recruiting scene. And the day I had the opportunity to talk to her, we had a talk, and I just found out that she actually had a background in sales years and years ago. And I was like, okay, that's why she's so amazing. And you just talked about the fact that once you did that, you can actually go in any other sector, any other industry.
That's great. Amazing. I think that's a wonderful way to finish. We're a little bit early, but right on time. I imagine people will, at least in Germany, want to go have dinner, early dinner. Still not in Spain, when you have dinner way too late. We're trying to change it now, but it's tough. Anybody else? Any additional questions? Anybody want to jump on stage, ask a question, meet Samar? Share anything else with us, or anybody who wants to share their experience in sales. We might have people in the audience who are already working. No? Dinner time? Okay, looks like dinner time. Well, Samar, thank you so much, seriously, for coming. It really was a pleasure to get to know you and your story. We had around 43 people come in at the end, so we had quite a lot of engagement and quite a lot of interest. We will record, the session is recorded, so we will release it for anybody, if you want to share, if you want to watch it. And anybody who's considering, career in sales, website is down there. It's headstartacademy.co. You can also email us directly. You can email me directly. It's Alvaro, ALVARO, at headstartacademy.co if you want my personal email. And I'm sure Samar, right, we'll send a follow-up email and we'll give you all our details in case you want to get in touch with us.
Sure.
We've got some thanks there from Leaf.
Sure.
Glad you enjoyed it.
The invite. It was all mine.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.